The AI race is heating up, and OpenAI has declared a code red in response to Google's Gemini 3 Pro.
Is CEO Sam Altman slamming the panic button? Is it over? Or will two rumored new AI models put OpenAI back on the top of the leaderboards?
I kind of tend to vote it's not over, maybe. It's like...
Who cares? AI news waits for no one. In fact, we got major AI video updates this week from Kling and Runway.
Who cares? I just wanted to say that right back at you. We've also got Kling's O1 AI video model, which is very cool. It allows you to edit videos in real time. Plus, their 2.6 model, which now has audio and kind of works.
I won't trot! Yo can't Hand Lely take trot!
Speaking of kind of working, Apple has actually been doing something, and we'll tell you why their new StarFlow-V video model might actually be great.
And in Robot Watch, China keeps them coming. The newest humanoid robot is actually named after a Terminator.
Perfect. We've also got a little desk lamp that's gonna look adorable while it spies on you.
All of that and more on...
Who cares?
I care, you care, this is our show, and now you've stuck around for the whole intro and you've registered as a view for YouTube.
Oh,
this is AI for humans.
I can see the cliff now. The drop off is real.
Welcome everybody to AI for Humans. It is me and my newly shorn co-host here, Kevin Pereira, who is a very different look. No mustache, no long hair. If you're listening, it's a different world for Kevin. But
it's like someone grabbed the Woolly Willy and shook it violently. They gave it the old ant farm treatment. All the magnets fell to the bottom. Yes.
I want everybody in the comments to start some sort of really entertaining discussion about what happened to Kevin's hair and where it is now.
Listen,
Kevin,
we were out of ideas for why the view count is where it's at. So at this point, we're pulling out all the stops.
Fair enough. Let's jump into this. There's a lot of things happening in the AI world this week. The biggest thing that's going on right now is that there's a leaked memo that the information is reported on where Sam Altman has declared, quote unquote, a code red at OpenAI. You and I have talked about for the last couple weeks. We took last week off. We talked about it for the last couple weeks before that, how good Gemini 3 Pro has been and Nano Banana Pro. Both these are very good. And there's been some stories out there that ChatGPT particularly might be losing a tiny bit of market share. And that's a big deal, right? When you have a company that's an upstart, that's a company that is not funded to the level that, say, a Google or Meta is, they want to be in the lead still. This code red, I think, very particularly says they want people to start focusing in more on the core product. And that's part of that is the reactions to people, how you get people to be really happy with the experience there, but also the results. And he specifically said they might pull away from things like advertising or Pulse for right now. If you remember, Pulse is the little thing that allows you to get like a daily update. Sure. So it's an interesting time right now. Kev, what was your first take when you kind of heard this story?
I guess welcome to the club, Sam. We were, because I mean, Google's new Gemini is incredible. It's my default driver for coding between that and Claude. I go to Gemini now to have videos analyzed or papers analyzed. Like I lean on Gemini more as a default. I still give OpenAI my $20, but there's, you mentioned the Pulse product. Have you used the Pulse product, Kevin?
It's funny.
Outside of trying it for the show?
No, because I don't really know what it's for. It's not for me right now. I mean,
great. And we don't need to get in the weeds about Pulse, but I'm saying there's that.
Yeah.
Have you tried the Atlas web browser outside of using it for the show? Because I did.
Again, it's one of those things where like it has to find its way into your life, right? And ChatGPT still has. I use ChatGPT as my main driver. It's the thing. Every time I try to switch to Gemini as a main driver, even with Gemini 3 Pro, I don't enjoy the experience as much. I don't know. There's something about it with Gemini 3 Pro, even though it's better at many things. And I think with building things, particularly if you're a coder, I think it's significantly better for entry-level coding. Yeah. I still have found this daily driver by ChatGPT. But yes, to your point, the new products that have come out outside of Sora 2 have not gone crazy for ChatGPT at this point.
Look, I love that they try things. Launching things is never easy. They get product out. Most of it's decent. That's good. But they have 800 million weekly users. And in the last week or two, the charts are exploding for downloads of Google AI-related products, specifically Gemini. So they are clearly, having their user base eroded. And even if it's a tiny bit, Like Google right now has all of the data. They've got all of the services. They've got a very healthy business bringing in tons of cash. OpenAI has what, a $1.4 trillion data center spend coming up.
Yeah.
Right. And if they're bleeding users, and maybe somewhat related, Microsoft is just as of this recording, they're adjusting the estimates, sales estimates for people's appetites for AI agents, right? It's not as big as they thought. Like, this is a code red.
Sure.
This is a massive code red.
So my question is really about, actually, we'll get into Mark Chen, who's the chief research officer at OpenAI in just a second here. He did a really good podcast interview that I want to talk about when it gets into like what's coming next for them. But I think the big question I have is, we've talked about this on the show for a couple months, really, this idea of like, how do you open the door to more people using things for a longer time, right? I think one of the interesting things is there seems to be an audience of creatives that kind of goes to where the mainstream kind of platform is. And right now, I think Nano Banana Pro, and we're going to talk about some other fun Nano Banana Pro stuff people have done, is really kind of owning that creative ecosystem. And Sora is still a really fun thing to do. And I spent a lot of time in Sora. We just talked about it before we jumped on. Like, I go to Sora every day. I still like making stuff there. I still think it's the most fun, interesting video system. But you were saying you hadn't been on there for a while, and I think that's not unusual. We're in this kind of mode where people are jumping from one thing to another. I think the ultimate thing they have to figure out is like, how do you just get your hooks into people and then like give them the stuff that will make a difference? I guess it's almost like a brand thing, right? Like when you have like I don't know, if you're a Charmin person and you always bought Charmin, at one point, it was cheaper to, it is better to be like, okay, well, whatever the internet can deliver to me for cheapest and is still at the quality level that I want, that's what I'll use. I don't care about Charmin anymore.
But at some point, you're going to be swiping with those bears, and I'm going to be on the 3 seashells, buddy. That's
you think so? You think that's what'll happen? I'll just be sitting with the bears,
yeah,
hibernating in some old dirty shack while you're in the world of the future.
Yeah.
Why don't we play that clip from Mark Chen here? This is from Ashley Vance's Core Memory podcast. The whole podcast is great. I listened to the whole thing on a walk the other day. Mark is really smart and really good, and this kind of gives you a sense of what their reaction to Gemini 3 was.
Yeah. So to speak to Gemini 3 specifically, it's a pretty good model. And I think one thing we do is try to build consensus. The benchmarks only tell you so much. And just looking purely at the benchmarks, we actually felt quite confident. We have models internally that perform at the level of Gemini 3, and we're pretty confident that we will release them soon, and we can release successor models that are even better.
Listen, by the way, I don't disagree, Gavin, but that is the AI equivalent of my girlfriend is a model in Canada and she's really hot. I only chat with her online, but I swear she is smoldering.
Well, here's a question I have for you. I wanted to ask you about this. So assume that OpenAI does have better models internally, and assume that
they do.
Yes, which they do.
But Google does too. But sorry.
Sure. No. My question to you is, if the lift for ChatGPT in the next version of whatever it is as good as Gemini 3 Pro, is there any reason why you particularly wouldn't switch back? The type of consumer you are. Like if there were better results coming out of ChatGPT.
Yeah. Look, I still give OpenAI my $20 a month, which is more than I'm giving Google right now. But I have been using Google more, and where like a hurdle that no model of theirs will probably be able to leap, Gavin, is being told that it can't fetch a transcript for a YouTube video because the provider is blocking them out, right? It's these tiny little things, like having to connecting it to my email or my Google Drive. There's connectors for it, but they're kind of wonky. They don't really work. I have to go and sort through permissions and blah, blah, blah. Like Google has so much of a lock-in on me that I'm starting to wonder why I'm still giving OpenAI the $20. We know they've got stuff in the background. Yeah. He's saying benchmarks aren't that important. So what will they have to announce that will make you get excited or make you say, oh, Google better pay attention if it's not something that beats it on the benchmarks?
I don't know. This is a really important question about what AI is doing and where it is right now. Because we've talked also here about how the real advances are going to come with AIs that can do science or advanced mathematics or all sorts of stuff. And Codex is something that I know a lot of people, when they played around with Gemini 3 Pro, a lot of people still think Codex 5 or whatever the new Codex model is called. I don't know what the model is.
I think it's 5.1 now. So
yeah, 5.1.
And maybe a 5.1 Pro.
Yeah, is better than Gemini 3 Pro. I think this is where it's really interesting, is it's going to get back to this idea of like, how do you integrate yourself into normal people's lives, which is where things like Pulse or those other things come from. But if they don't find purchase in a person's life and it's just a fleeting moment, it doesn't matter. Before we move on from this OpenAI story, we should say there are a couple big things that came out of another information story. There are 2 models they're working on.
Yes.
One is known as, I think, called Garlic internally, which, again, fun name, Garlic. That is the one that supposedly might even come out as soon as next week. And I assume that this is one, they kind of brushed up something and they kind of made something relatively fast to kind of like get in front of Gemini 3 to do some more stuff, and because they had these internal models. But there's a bigger model, Kev, they called Shallotpeat.
Shallotpeat,
which I don't even know. We should figure out what Shallotpeat means maybe before we start recording this. Shallotpeat, is that a type of dirt? Is that what it is? Maybe we can start a conspiracy right here and figure out what Shallotpeat means.
I thought Shallotpeat is a character from like a like a shady romance game, like a shady dating game.
Yeah, what's that show with Giovanni Ribisi? Something? Oh, Sneaky Pete.
Sneaky Pete.
That's it's the Sneaky Pete model. Is Giovanni Ribisi, the secret Scientologist?
Okay, Shallotpeat has a misspelling of shallot paste. Was the first suggestion by GPT 5.1. Shallots grown in peat could be something.
Okay, what is that? What is so special about shallots grown in peat?
Grown in peat soil or peat-based potting mix, which provides moisture retention and acidity.
Isn't that just dirt? Isn't peat just basically dirt?
No, don't distill it.
Okay, all right. Anyway,
don't do that. It's a very special thing.
The big thing about Shallotpeat, and also what Mark says in that interview, if you go and listen to it, is that one of the things that came out with Gemini 3 Pro is that there were some advances that Google made in pre-training, which there was this kind of overall sense in the AI space that pre-training might be over, that you weren't going to be able to get anything else extra out of making bigger models when you first train on them. And to remind everybody, pre-training is the idea of collecting all the data and training the AI on something before it's released. It's that first big step. And for a lot of people, they thought, oh, well, we've gone as far as we can go with that. Gemini 3 proved that there is movement to go. Mark has said for the last 6 months, he said this in his in the podcast, he and the chief, I think, scientist from OpenAI have been really focusing on the pre-training space. So there will be more advances in pre-training, which is a pretty big deal considering we're still making big advances in the post-training and in the reasoning sides of these things.
Yeah, I just don't like I've heard enough professionals, like capital P professionals, say that the age of scaling is sort of done. That we're, like things have gotten big enough. Now it's about it's post-training and test time inference and whatever the next algorithmic breakthrough will be. And I wonder if Shallotpeat or Stanky Gouda or whatever whatever the next code name's going to be that comes out. I wonder if Frivolous Hedgehog is going to launch, and it's really just them cranking up the dial and saying, screw it. Even though this is really expensive, just burn way more tokens to just overanalyze your answers. And they're just cheating at that game for right now until the next major breakthrough.
Maybe. It's possible. You never know, right? I mean,
I just wanted to say Frivolous Hedgehog. I'm sorry. That was a long walk for that.
Gemini 3, though, did get better, supposedly, from it. So I guess we will see. It's going to be... Again, we've said this, the next 6 months to a year are going to be really interesting in this space, mostly because how much advancement we get versus how much we don't. There's been a lot of people, I don't know if you follow this, but there's been a lot of people out there. I always feel like groupthink is so weird, but there's a lot of groupthink people who have now shifted around from this idea of maybe we will never get AGI again, and maybe this thing doesn't exist. And it's just interesting to watch the ebbs and flows of people's brains around all this stuff. I think one of the things that was fascinating is Gemini 3 surprised a lot of people. So it just shows you that surprises are still possible. And Kevin, something else that's really surprising is that there are people listening and watching this show right now that have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. I am shocked. I am shocked every week. Oh, no, don't get sick. Don't get sick. Are you getting
sick? It's a little
sick?
upsetting to my stomach.
Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I learned about a new disease today that I'd never heard of before.
Oh God, what?
This is a side note in our this is the subscription part. So if you want to subscribe to our show, you'll learn more about this. Are you ready for the name of this thing? This is for people who are smoke too much weed. So you should listen up, Kevin. This is an important thing for you. It's called scromiting. Have you heard about scromiting? This is a CNN.
Is that like edge maxing?
No, it's basically. You start throwing up all the time from smoking too much weed, and it doesn't stop. So do not scrom it, but do subscribe to AI for Humans. Do leave us a 5-star review on our audio. Also do
I thought,
What?
oh
What
man,
did you think?
Gavin has somehow found a disease that might be from like a hyperfixation on it. This, that, the other. They're going to say, oh, the real subs, the real fans might suffer from this. And
No.
Nope. Okay.
Scromiting. All right, everybody.
I bet Shallotpeat is scromiting right now to an incognito tab. I'm just pointing it out. Sorry. Kling 01.
That's right. Kling 01 and Kling 2.6. So this is like Kling's week of releases. There's 2 new models. So Kling 01 was the big thing that came out on Monday. And what this is their multimodal kind of editing model, right? So you can use it to edit things. It's pretty cool. Now, the thing I will say is if you follow the AI space at all, you know, like over the weekend, a bunch of the AI influencers were out there saying like, it's good. Everything's going to change again. It's all changing again. And this is good. I will not say like when I played around with it, it was like a massive step change, but I'm not going to crap on it because there's a lot of really cool things that happen with it. So one of the biggest things that Kling 01 is good at is being able to basically replace things within footage, also being able to show different angles of certain shots. I saw a lot of really interesting examples. Like, hold on, let me just bring up
I
lost the thing. Sorry, pick it up. It's okay.
I will say that I saw some of their promo videos and felt bad for our friends at Higgsfield because the multimodality of this thing, being able to upload multiple images and video, right? And say, use video A as the source and put image B and C and D into the video, but use the style of image C, like being able to just do that and collage your work and then say, now show me it from all angles and now make the camera rotate around and just kind of naturally prompt it. I obviously cherry-picked results in some of the promo materials and some of the early influencer stuff, but it's a really solid direction for a video model.
Yeah, there were a couple cool ones to shout out first. Adventure Twins are one of our favorite creators out there. I had a cat that turned into a little chihuahua, so it was like a very clean edit when you look at it. Somebody put Shrek in the Michael Scott. That's Hey Abhishek, put Shrek in the Michael Scott. I took, Kevin, you're not a football fan, so you may not have seen this, but there's a very famous shot from this weekend where the New York Giants kicker tried to kick a field goal and basically stubbed his toe and stopped halfway through. I took 8 seconds of that video and I said, hey, I'm going to try to basically style change this video into different things or put things in there. And actually, I was pretty impressed with what I was able to do. Now, none of these are perfect, but you can see if you look at those tests, there's one where I had it, there was a baby and a mom, and the mom's like saying, no, don't kick my baby. There's a baby in a stroller, and it stops him. There's like almost like a Jigglypuff-like character. There's one where I put them in hell, because that's where that kicker probably feels like he belongs. All of that stuff was like relatively easy. And if you remember, like with Runway 1 back in the day, or Runway maybe 2, style changing was like a cool thing, but it was all this kind of like morphed out sort of thing, and you can only choose a few different things. This is a very cool step to that idea that like, oh, any piece of video you have or any photo you have, you can easily edit in and edit out, which I think is, we're going to get there very fast. And one of the things is, even if like the LLMs or the giant models in some way slow down, like this sort of stuff is going to change the world, I feel like.
I will say that for, as you know, next level, oh my God, foundational this thing is supposed to be, in the clip of Young Ho Koo going to kick at the mom with the stroller, she's got 6 fingers on her left hand. Like, it's very easy. It's just like that has been solved. That has been solved.
What are you gonna do?
But maybe if we get like a clip of Graham Gano attempting the same thing, maybe she'll have the right amount of fingers, you know?
Wow, Graham Gano, look at that.
Don't make me go back to Aldrich Rosas, because it's gonna be a long podcast. All right. Shout out to my Lawrence Tynes fans. Am I right?
There you go. The other thing Kling came out with just on Wednesday was Kling 2.6 with voice. And Kevin, I'd like you to play this clip, because I want you to hear their acting that's coming out of it. This is Kling's video that they put out.
So I was going to say, let's point out, this is the one that they released to showcase it. Their best of the best.
I have a secret.
I have a secret.
I have a too big secret that I never told you, Jesse.
I have a too big secret. I have a too big secret I never told you, Kevin.
Gavin, what is your too big secret? Tell me your too big secret.
I've been scromiting for 15 years.
Oh no, you're Shallotpeat.
Anyway, so Kling now can do supposedly what you would think you can do with VO3 and all the other stuff. But Kevin, I have to say,
I'll play a little bit more. Let's hear just a couple more samples here.
其实我的真实身份
Multilingual. Great.
Yep.
What the hell was that gunshot? You said you let him go.
I told you.
You must only call me coach here.
Wow.
That pause was very dramatic. I could see
Yes.
that on a 90-second K-drama vertical type thing. But
Yeah.
how does it
So-
work in practice, Gav?
Well, I'll tell you this. My whole thing with all these things is I really try to show people the first time I do something. I know that probably I could have spent a lot more time with this, but Kevin, I would like you to. So what I did is I took there's a small monologue, speaking of A Few Good Men, which we talked about earlier, which is the, you can't handle the truth monologue. If you're a person who's watched movies the last 20 years, you're familiar with Jack Nicholson and Tom Cruise. I basically wrote out a mini script for that. I didn't try to like change anything. But then I put it into Kling and I got 2 attempts. And I want you to play just one of them. They're both kind of screwed up in the same way, but play it and kind of see what came out of this.
Yeah.
I think I'm entitled to yo wount Amsworts. I wount he trut. You can't handle he trutch.
Okay, so
So you can't
you-
handle Lee Trutch.
did you write it in Wingdings?
I did not write it in Wingdings. In fact, I'll put a link to my tweet here, which has my full prompt. What was interesting is I then took that thing and I put it into it. I tried it a second time.
Yeah.
If you want to play the second one, we can play the second one just to listen to the difference.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled to yo wount Amsworts. I wount trut. Yo can't hand lely take trut.
You can't handle take trot.
So I don't know what's going on there. And
I think
maybe
it's got to
was-
be the caps, right? The all caps throwing it off.
Oh, maybe
Because
that's
that
what it
happens
is. You think
with-
that's what it is?
I mean, that happened with
that's interesting.
early 11 Labs models,
Yeah,
but like that's a bit of a shortcoming.
Yeah, well, what's funny is I put it into VO3 and it, well, the performance wasn't great, but it didn't have any problem with it. And it was funny, I put it into Sora 2 and it clearly recognized as Figures Man, it wouldn't give me a result, which was a bummer. But I'm sure there are ways where it's going to be better. I found this to be a little disappointing. That's not to say like there's a lot of people out there who have been showing off really interesting stuff with it. It's another model that has native audio, which is just a very cool thing in general.
Runway 4.5 was also announced, Gavin. Like the hits keep coming with the video scene right now.
Yep.
Like it pretty incredible. I don't have access to it yet. Do you?
No, we don't. In fact, that's
Great,
one of the
moving
things I haven't.
on.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people who have access to it yet, which is interesting. But they have released a lot of really interesting video about it. It feels like this has taken a little longer to get people access to.
Yeah.
In the past, Runway's always taken a few days longer once they'll announce something and then it'll come out. But yeah, some really interesting stuff. I Am Newbert is somebody who works at Runway. Kind of showed off this very cool video of like this kind of whale flying through the sky. It doesn't look like it has native audio necessarily, but there was one small thing that somebody said that it might, so we don't know that for sure yet or not. But you saw this thing from, what is it, Notion Sands that you got pretty excited about.
Yeah, I did. It's just like Sora is a lot of fun. It's great. You can generate some cooler artsy kind of stuff with it, but I think it primarily excels at like physics, human reactions and emotions and whatever. But yeah, Gavin, there was a video by Not Ian Sands or Always Generating, which caught my eye. Their goal was to push the 4.5 model into some like interesting places. That's what they said. And when you watch the video, some of it is really stunning and really gorgeous. Dramatic human performance that suddenly explodes into like sacred geometry and psychedelic
Cool colors,
visuals.
yeah.
Really cool colors. Really, really cool like camera moves, objects in the frame like spinning and flipping, liquefying. Like I just thought it was really, really gorgeous. And I saw it and was like, oh, I wouldn't see that in gut reaction go, oh, that's AI.
You know who saw this? Is Brian Johnson on his latest mushroom trip. That's what you probably saw. Did you see he did another one? Brian Johnson did a second mushroom trip, and now he's getting married to his assistant. So quite a unique world going on there with Brian Johnson. Yeah.
I hope we're gonna measure his biometrics when he's at the altar and he's wearing that cool cap with the thing. Yeah, this is 100% a hallucination that he would have about 30 minutes into his trip. I think it's really gorgeous.
It's very cool. One of the things that they released, Runway did, was that on the artificial analysis text to video leaderboard, it really outperformed all the other ones.
Yes.
VO3, Kling 2.5, VO3 1, Sora 2 Pro. And I just want us to be able to get our hands on it. So we don't have it yet. Kevin, you highlighted this thing from Apple that I had seen a brief thing on, but it's called StarFlow-V. Tell me what that is.
So listen, it is a video model that's not based off diffusion, right? So most of the models that exist today, they start with a scatter of noise. They try to rearrange the noise and they create a video based off that, like frame by frame, they go through it. This uses something, it's a different, older mathematical principle, but applying it to video seems to be pretty novel here. It's a method called Jacobi iteration, and it allows the computer to solve multiple parts of the video creation process, but it does it simultaneously rather than like line by line, if you will.
Okay.
So instead of just like printing pixel by pixel, it's like a printing press. It stamps the frame, so it can go really, really fast. The math that they use, though, that's what I was looking for. Normalizing flows. If you want to deep dive into that, that's the mathematical, that's a concept that this is based off of. But here's why it matters. Because it doesn't necessarily need to process video the same way as these diffusion models, it can work forward and backwards. It can go text to video output or video to video or image to video without having to be retrained for those approaches. It just handles it all the same way. But the most important thing is that it is not compute intensive. So when you think of like, okay, why is Apple doing this? We have best in class foundational models. Oh, because if you look at the outputs that this thing does, you go, they might not be as amazing as what Kling just announced or what Runway just announced. But if you imagine your phone being able to quickly render these things without having to go to the cloud and without having to cost $20 to $200 a month, now suddenly everything that I just tried to explain becomes more important. When you just see the output and know that this could be running on a cell phone in the near future, you go, oh, that's maybe what Apple is gunning for. And it is slightly different.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it also kind of points out the idea that like you think about Javon's paradox, speaking of another weird word, but the idea that like people talked about why we're going to need all this compute, and you don't need compute for on-phone stuff. But if suddenly your phone can do all these AI things, that imagine the larger, bigger things that people might invent to want to do that the cloud would then need to do.
Yes.
Again, it's the kind of trickle down effect of all this. And there's one more video. Oh, sorry.
And again, like not to belabor it, but because it's just one model that does all those things, they don't need 3 giant models, one for text to video, one for image to video, one for video to video. It's just one model that does it all. So it's going to save storage space and probably save compute. So
that's amazing.
I want Apple to do big things. I know there's a huge changing of the guard happening there right now. Like I want them to wake up and start doing amazing stuff. And this is an early indicator that they might be.
They have the money, right? Like that's the one thing. Somebody pointed out the other day, I was listening to a podcast and some crazy stat about like the iPad business alone is worth what Starbucks is worth. Did you hear that? I was just like shocked by that stat. It's like the iPad makes more than Starbucks does every year when you think about just how many people that employs. Okay, let's talk about Sync React 1. You sent me this video. It reminded me a little bit of when a long time ago, we covered, I can't remember which model it was, but we covered different emotional states that you could get out of a specific model. It might have been one of the Kling models, but this was a cool way in real time to kind of guide performance, it looks like.
Yeah, it's just, a lot of apps, if they try to do lip syncing specifically and you give it an emotional performance, it's just doing the lip flap and that is it. This is, impressive for what it is model, where if you watch the video, you see the character go from neutral to sad or angry or very happy, and you watch the furrowing of the brow or the widening of the eyes or the perking up of the ears and whatnot. And so it reminds me of that, what was the detective game, the detective noir game that Rockstar did, where you have to like interview people and you look at their faces. Is it LA Noire?
LA Noire. Yeah.
So if you played that, for the olds out there, that's what the video looks like. If you're just listening to the podcast, go check it out because, again, as we talk about these video models getting better and better, a lot of them are good with emotion. But if you want to change just the emotion of a character or the read, it's hard. And it's probably going to re-render the entire thing. And here it's keeping the scene consistent and only focusing on the retargeting of that face.
What'll be really interesting is when you can do that and then also change the audio performance in the same shot, because like that's the other question. Like, could you change, if we talk about those clips of Kling where they were kind of yelling out those lines, like what would be great is to have like almost like an AI, essentially a director in some form or another. Speaking of video games, though, there is a really interesting event that's been happening.
Dude, I've lost so many hours to this game. I love it. I don't know what's your main? Are you Hummingbird? Are you Pigeon?
Oh, no, I like going as a dove. I'm like a healer. I come in as a dove, and I kind of heal everybody. So,
Okay,
by the way,
meta.
side note, I'm in Vancouver. My nephews are here. I'm getting very deep into Brawl Stars. So if anybody has any Brawl Stars tips, shoot them my way in the comments.
Side note, you don't know your work wife well. I'm a Brawl Stars king.
Oh, well, I'm gonna I'll ask you about it after this recording because I've been
you.
getting deep. I did get an epic character, luckily. So now
Who'd you unlock?
Trunk, is that right? The tree that spins around. You know what I'm talking about?
No, it's been so long since I played.
Anyway, let's keep going. So, Bird Game is not a real video game, and what it is an emergent social phenomenon that came out of Sora 2. And what's so interesting to me, Kev, about Sora 2 is that like it's this kind of really interesting collection of very good creators internally, but then stuff will spin outside of Sora and blow up in different ways, right? And I think a lot of it comes from Sora because for some reason, Sora's AI video engine really understands social media. But what this is clips of a fake video game where you basically are fighting as birds. And so it's Bird Fight 3 or Bird Game 3, which kind of mates the idea that like this is the third version of it.
Yes.
But there are clips all over TikTok now of like pigeons or eagles fighting each other. Maybe you want to play one so we can get a sense of what it sounds like.
That is so cheap. You just spam text. Who even plays pigeon?
Easy claps, man. Get out of my game.
Whatever, dude.
So
go
ahead. And one last one because I love this one.
Man, you the first to buy Bird Game 3?
Yeah, man. Got that Bird Game 3. Finna go straight home and hop on the game, man. This shit got that fully explorable bird world and all that. Various bird species.
It's fully explorable bird world and various bird species. That was a perfect clip of a midnight launch of an Xbox game where you remember our G4 days where it used to be,
oh yeah,
we were the ones with the stick mic there covering that stuff.
Yep.
Like it's fully believable footage. And that's what I love, that the lore is so far beyond the game. It's the lobby chatter. It's the unlockable characters. It is the news reports about people lining up to get the game. It is change my mind style podcast debates of what the best Bird Game 3 meta is. That is what is so enjoyable about it to me.
Here's what's special about Sora versus all these other things is that for some reason, like I just said, like Sora has this ability, and maybe, I don't know what it trained on. Maybe it trained on more social media, or maybe it trained on somehow short form TikTok in some form, and who knows, but it understands stuff in a way that these other ones don't, and it adds to it on its own. So many of these other AI video models, it feels like I'm never often surprised by what I'm getting out of it. Now, if I put in a really good prompt, I'll get something back that'll be interesting. Mm-hmm. But Sora has like this kind of magic spice that it puts on so that it kind of knows to make a funny thing, or it knows to make something that feels culturally relevant. Like those things you just played, like so many of those feel like actual moments that you would have seen. So I think that's where OpenAI does have some interesting special sauce there. I actually went in and tried one of these myself because I was like, oh, I'll try one of these. And I actually used they now have this like kind of TV news setting where you can click on TV news. So Kev, play the one that I sent you.
Crazy. You feel like you're actually flying.
I come here after school almost every day.
It's so fun, it makes the homework worth it.
Bird Game 3 is the hottest holiday title in the city, and for many...
So it's just it's like a 1990s like style television show, a news show where they're talking about Bird Game 3. Now, I didn't put in any sort of specific prompts to make it look like a modern day Bird Game. This is more like a Bird Game like news story, but it just is a weird, fascinating way to play with reality. And again, these will show up often on different places online, and people may or may not know that they're real. You had mentioned you saw somebody had been sitting on the Bird Game 3 Steam name,
if
right?
you Google Bird Game 3, the number one result right now is a Steam listing for a game that someone is actually making, and they're posting clips on TikTok actively about the game. Like, I'm sure people have feelings about that one way or another. I think it's probably pretty smart and savvy.
I mean, Steal a Brain Rot did pretty good, right? And Steal a Brain Rot came straight from AI video, right?
But
so
what's
it's
great
a really
is that,
interesting thing.
The reason I love like this sort of AI meme cycle is that like, someone released a Bird Game 3 clip and someone was like, I wonder what the lobbies sound like for Bird Game 3. And then someone thought, oh, I wonder what the release of the Xbox 50 was with that bundled in. And so if you're inspired, whatever your version of is there a Bird Game 3 developer scandal that's going to happen? Is there a Bird Game 4 knockoff that's coming? Is there a Soulja Boy console with a really bad Bird game coming out? Like, what is the new DLC going to be? You can imagine it, and it's not hard to go and remix a prompt and make your own version of something.
Well, and again, not to glaze Sora too much, but what was interesting about the remix prompt in general in Sora is it triggers your brain in interesting ways, right? When instead of swiping up and down on Sora, if you swipe right or left, you're going to see people remixing a certain prompt, and you will tell a story throughout those remixes and see people jumping off from place to place. So anyway, it's just a really cool creative use case of this in general. Okay, everybody, it's time for Robot Watch. Okay, Kevin, there's a new video from a company called EngineAI for a robot. Is it playing right now?
Yeah, that was the robot kicking open the friggin' saloon doors.
So the best thing is the title of this YouTube video is EngineAI T800. So it's called the T800, which you remember the T1000 is the Terminator. And it says, born to disrupt, ! So what we're seeing here supposedly
Gavin,
is real footage. Want to describe what this is?
The T800 was the original Terminator. The T1000 was the liquid Terminator from Terminator 2. And I can't let that one go, buddy.
Fair enough. They actually did call it the Terminator name.
They straight up stole T800, which, okay, but this thing is beefy.
Yeah, it's beefy. And one of the things that this video looks like it could be faked, but they very specifically have said no AI CG, no CGI, one shot, no speed up. So if we are going to trust this company, this video is remarkable. And I will say, like, when you're watching it, like doing a drop kick and a jump kick, like, it's pretty impressive. Later on, it's probably you can kind of probably tell it's being
like teleoperated.
Teleoperated, but still the physical ability of this robot is remarkable. And you can feel like something when you compare it to the stuff we've seen coming out of America, like the humanoid that was in the household that we talked about a month ago. China is definitely advancing pretty quickly. I saw a lot of people talking about Real Steel becoming real. If you remember Real Steel, the Hugh Jackman boxing video.
Please bring back Robot Wars and let's make it international, except who can compete with China right now? Because our robot will be delicately loading a dishwasher incorrectly while theirs is actually like strangling your uncle.
But imagine bringing one of these things home for the first time to Thanksgiving and having it like do things for your grandparents or for your uncle and aunts.
It unboxes itself with a violent punch and then just starts flipping tables. Like, yes, great.
That should be how all these robots open themselves up. Like the box should be designed so stay 20 feet away from the box.
It Kool-Aids through it. It just explodes through the cardboard and then starts insulting you.
A very cool new robot from China, EngineAI, the T800. Hopefully it won't kill us. There's another robot, Kevin, that came out of America. There's a very small run of these, only 100. I think they pre-sold out. But this is a tiny little robot that's obviously inspired by Pixar lamps. Yeah. This robot is called Ongo, which is, first of all, Ongo is one of those names. I don't know what you're doing, but it's very cute. The eyes on it, the eyes on it are big, and it's like looks like it's going to sit on your desk. Kevin, so you're kind of giving weird voices here. What do you mean?
Speaking of weird voices, that's why I'm making the sounds that I'm making.
Play it.
Okay, because again, listen, I don't know the creators of this. I appreciate anybody in the arena taking a swing. I truly do. Shipping stuff is hard. Hardware is really hard. All that.
Yes.
But pick up the phone and give someone that's not within your immediate bubble a ring and have them just listen to the voice that you're shipping in the video. Who wants this thing to be making these noises in your house? I'm going to hit play.
Wait a minute. That's not what a chair looks like.
What is Timu Godfrey doing in my desk lamp?
Oh my God.
Minute. What is that?
Why are you eating that burger at 12 o'clock at night?
It sounds like
gaining weight.
Thank you. Here,
don't forget your keys.
Yeah, don't forget. It's Towley. It's Towley with a bulb.
It is Towley. You're right. But I bet you could change the voice, right? You could probably.
But why would you use that voice throughout the entire video? That's a rough one. Here's more.
Maybe try a dash of balsamic.
What is that accent?
I mean,
it just gave up on it. No, I'm sorry.
Ongo, the scarier part about Ongo is it's designed to kind of sit on your desk. It's literally a lamp with big eyes, right?
And it follows you.
And it follows you around. So maybe Ongo has a whole nother purpose further in the future. One of the things I would want a robot in my house for is moving around, picking stuff up, and doing stuff. I don't know if I need a robot just to criticize me and like spy on me, which feels like what Ongo's business is right now. No shade towards the Ongo creators. It's very cool to see stuff. And then finally, Kevin, we got a very short clip from Optimus. This is the robot that we last saw kind of waddling around, if you remember in the video with what's his name from Salesforce.
Yeah.
It's running now, and it looks like it's running about as good as I could run, which is not bad. It's nothing. It's nothing compared to T800.
I jog with a knee brace, so I feel you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good one. That someone slowed it down and took a good look. They made like the foot. It actually bends like towards the toe box, and it seems to absorb some of the impact and help it with like its sprint. But listen, feelings of Elon or Tesla aside, like great. I love seeing an American-based robot move a little bit, like have some movement to it. So I'm all for it. I want Robot Wars to come back. I want a Ninja Warrior for robots that is international, and I do want them to fight, like maybe more of an American Gladiators. I want a Gladiators.
Do you think people will
robots.
care? This is the thing I'm always curious about. We'll take a brief break and talk about robot sports because I like that too.
Yes.
What makes people care about sports, though, in part is their affiliation with a place, right? Like I grew up in Seattle, so I am a Seahawks fan. And
well, you got the geographical like hoorah of at least nations, right? U.S. versus the Russian robot, which falls down on the way to the thing. It should be an international sport.
But do you not think like human stories are what get people excited about sports? Like I guess my question is like,
but there's a human story for the creator, right? Like I watched,
I guess that's true.
Like BattleBots was a fine show, but if you've seen one episode, it's like how many times do you want to watch the doorstop fly into the saw blade? Right, but it did for seasons.
That always happened.
It's always the same shit. It's like here's a saw blade and it's going after a wedge and sparks and it's over. So like having like robots that can actually like grab weapons and make autonomous decisions and really fight and they're anthropomorphized and going into like the teams behind it and the pride of a nation behind it, like that gets me super juiced.
Here's an idea. What if the whole story starts like a couple years before and you kick the robot out of your house and you make it live on its own?
The journey, the fighter's
and
journey.
It has to do its own journey to get to the point where it's going to compete. Because that way I'll buy in. I'll be like, well, this robot, we kicked 10 out and it's the only one that actually made it
I
off
love
the Skid
that
Row.
you need like tail of the tape, not interesting. You need the redemption story of the robot that was like...
He got injured last year and he brought himself back. Yeah. All right, everybody, it's time to see what you did this week with AI. It's AI. See what you did there.
Sometimes you're scrolling without a care. Then suddenly you stop and shout. AI, see what you did there. AI, see what you did there.
This week, some very cool stuff happened with Nano Banana Pro. If you're not playing with it, it is probably the most fun you can have right now with AI imaging. Kev, this was a link I saw on Reddit. This was from in the Bard subreddit, which I always love finding things in the Bard subreddit, which still exists. People love it. This is basically a set of pictures of a guy who put himself in photos of famous movie sets. And if you just click through these, what's great about Nano Banana Pro is they have not nerfed it. And I don't really understand how this is possible. Maybe Google has just said, we're going to either make deals with all these people or companies, or we're just going to take the risk. But you see him in places like, you know, Oppenheimer. You see him in the Terminator. But these are actually really good. And the actors who are in these movies are in character and they look like they are taking selfies with him. Yeah. I was just really impressed by seeing how consistent it could get throughout all this.
The character consistency is great. For me, it's the tiny things of, there's a shot with him and Liam Neeson. They're in the snow and it added dusting of flakes to his hair and to his jacket. When he's in the scene with the Matrix, it's matching the cool green temperature of the scene, and the shadows that are on Keanu's face match the shadows on his face. So it's these like tiny little things that really make the images look grounded and real. And yeah, it's, I mean, crazy that it's just like IP guardrails, like let it go, let it fly.
Yeah, and what's great about it is like the pictures, sometimes when you have these IP photos of like real people, the faces are a little bit off. Most of these faces look exactly like the actors, right? Like it really does. Like if you look at the Homelander one, that's like him taking a picture with the actor in Homelander, like there's even a VOT sign behind him. Like it looks like they're on set somewhere. So anyway,
but here's what's great. You want to make an image like this for your family for the holidays? Like pretty easy. Go to gemini.google.com or AI Studio or any number of the links, because that's still a problem, I think, for Google. But go to use Gemini, upload an image of yourself, and the prompt is, and I quote from the Reddit post, "I'm taking a selfie with movie character on the set of movie name." That's it.
That's it.
Your Gam Gam is going to flip her lid when you show her hanging out with like Tommy Hanks on the set of her favorite movie. Like super simple to do it. It does all the heavy lifting for you. You can crop the watermark out if you need.
Or tell your Gam Gam that you actually are doing this. Let her die in peace and know that you're successful. And have her feel that you are actually living a good life when actually you are maybe just like, I don't know, playing video games.
Shallotpeat, that's a little deceptive, Shallotpeat.
All right, a couple other fun things we saw this week. One, another good Nano Banana Pro from Mad Pencil. This was just a cool way to drop, it's Mad Pencil _ is his name on X. Google 8-eyed animals and objects, like it's a cool prompt to drop on. We saw somebody do this like maybe a year ago in some form, but just another very cool way to use Nano Banana Pro. Another really fun one was the weather for your city prompt. I don't know if you saw this, Kevin, but like basically you can make this really cool top-down thing. And because it's Gemini 3 powered, it allows you to put in all these interesting things in the prompt so it can pull real-time weather, and it basically creates like a little weather graphic that shows you what the weather is at the time and the time and all that sort of stuff. It's a very cool thing overall.
I saw that and I immediately wanted to vibe code a little widget that would do that, but for your exact long lat if you gave it, because you could imagine it pulls up the Google satellite image, makes the isometric view of that, and then applies the current weather status to that image, and then spits it to VO and makes a little looping animation so that at any time you could glance down and see exactly where you're at, the weather reflected outside. And then I thought, like, man, I'm tired.
Well, it's funny you say that because I did something very simple with it. I actually had it create a photo of what the weather was like in Mordor.
I didn't see that. I follow you and I didn't see that.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Lord of the Rings, Mordor is where the Eye of Sauron is, so I had it do it. And by the way, I said like pull the date and everything like that, and it pulled the date of like, what does it say in this? It says TA 3019. So I don't know what TA stands for. I'm not a giant Lord of the Rings fan, so I'm sure somebody in our audience has gotten to this point of the stage just getting ready to type it out right now. Tell me what TA is. And then final, Kevin, I'm going to give everybody a kind of content warning. We're going to show something here that's a little disturbing, maybe. And I want to make sure everybody's aware of it. I saw another video in the same vein. Do you remember the Chinese video we saw where the woman was chopping up the alien?
Yeah.
People have taken this and moved into a whole different world. This time, we have somebody chopping up a minion-like character, and we're going to play it here. But you may want to turn away because there's a couple of shots of this.
Very graphic.
Very graphic. And one shot where it's like scoops out the minion's eye. This is like, what's weird about this is when I was watching this video, I was thinking, well, first of all, very good AI video. Second of all, like what's interesting about how you have these kind of cartoony characters and the way you make them in your brain, the one at Pokemon's the same sort of thing. Like there was a Pokemon wet market video I saw the other day where there's like, you go to, and you're chopping up and butchering Pokemons as you would normal animals in normal way, but you anthropomorphize these things. So you're like a minion, you can't chop up a minion, but this is that maybe I'll become a vegetarian because of this one minion video, Kevin. Maybe that's what's going on here.
And some interesting backstory to this. The Solo Pops or Solo on X made an agentic tool that automatically generates prompts for trending videos. So it looks at what is popping and how can it generate these offshoots. And I've seen like this video has 6.5 million views. There's another video about like AI art haters in their basements covered in pizza grease and everything else. I don't know if you saw that one, but that has thousands of views. So it's just like, there's a ton of videos coming out of this. And if it is an agentic workflow and it really is sort of that lean back, we're not far off from the 24/7 channels of slop where you're just cruising through and it's entertaining. Like it'll grab your attention.
The upside and downside of a version of slop and agentic video is there are things that are going to be really interesting to come out of them, and there's going to be a lot of garbage. What's going to be interesting is thinking about what is the filter for that stuff. And when I say filter, I don't mean of like what allows to get through or what doesn't, but in the same way that like when there's so much stuff out there, who's picking out the gems and how do you find them? And like, what does it look like for the people that are really good at identifying stuff in a sea of things? Like those people might become more valuable in some form or another. And maybe it's almost like going back to the days of like blogging in a weird way when people would like have link blogs and they would send you links to stuff. I feel like if we're going to get this much content, if we're going to see this much video, there's probably going to be a lot more importance on that sort of thing. Now, you may think that this is not the kind of video you ever want to see, and I don't blame you in some ways. So that is it for this week, y'all. We will be back next week. We hope y'all are having a very good holiday season so far, and Sayonara.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
multilingual.
I love
Sayonara.
that. Bless your heart. Adios. Bye bye.